Good day. Welcome to another edition of Spotlight on Mahopac Schools. Eric Gross, your host, along with Superintendent of Schools Anthony DiCarlo. And Anthony, good seeing you, sir.
Same here, Eric.
It's been a while, couple of weeks in Putnam County and New York State, across the United States of America, with that nasty word known as COVID-19.
Yeah, and Putnam County has really, especially over the last 2 weeks, has seen an incredible surge. And it has an impact, of course, on our schools and our availability to be able to stay open.
600 plus new cases in Putnam County in the past week. That's scary.
Yeah, so one of the things that we kind of knew was going to happen, and it's been predicted, and it is happening, we're seeing it here in Putnam, is the surge after Thanksgiving. And we're seeing the numbers just going up to the point where it's unsustainable. And I know there's a lot of upsetment and anger because what you're hearing is that the safest place to be for kids is school.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if we can staff our schools. So I'm just going to give you numbers from November 17th. So the Tuesday before we went out on Thanksgiving break until actually yesterday, the number of quarantines and isolations for students was 387. And the number of staff members is 150. The numbers are right there. It's unsustainable. And so what's happened is that we can't staff our buildings. And again, we had this conversation about a month ago. When I talk about staff, that includes teachers, administrators, custodians, monitors, teachers' assistants. There's a whole cadre of different people who have been affected. And there have been many situations recently where we can't open up buildings because of there's just not enough staff to be able to open the building up.
And this is not unique to Mahopac either. This is the whole county, the whole region.
Yeah, so
one school district had a problem,
right.
A smaller district, Putnam Valley, where they didn't have bus drivers.
Yeah.
So they had to shut down.
And we had an issue, where we didn't have custodians. So, again, once there's a positive case and then that contact tracing is done, it just basically takes out a myriad of different individuals, both whether it's staff members and or students. And therefore our ability to stay open, we can't do it. It's 14 days. We just had 2 issues last week where we had 2 of our elementary schools that had to actually start this week going remote because we don't have enough staff. And what we're seeing is that this is going to, for the most part, continue after Christmas holiday too. Because even though we're telling people to stay in very small groups, I can't police everybody. And the numbers, as you mentioned, are just unbelievable. And here's the frustration. The governor originally talked about zones, yellow, orange, and red.
Right.
And that depending on the percentage, you'd be in specific zones. Then all of a sudden, two and a half weeks ago, he changed it to hospitalization. Here's the problem. Technically, yesterday in Putnam County, we were at 8.1%. That's red. That means there's an issue where we live, AKA seeing all of these individuals that are testing positive and therefore quarantining people that are both on a staff level and a student level. The governor has now said we're going to base it on hospitalizations. Well, in Putnam County, we have Putnam County Hospital Center. They don't keep the COVID patients. They're going to Vassar and they're going to Danbury.
Yeah, yep.
So the question that the county is struggling with, the Department of Health, is that we should be in a red zone. Mm-hmm. We have big problems here. But because we're not falling under the hospitalization, which, well, by the way, we may never. Mm-hmm. And that's the answer where the Department of Health is trying to get and saying to the governor, we are in a very, very precarious situation here in Putnam County. Okay? So, therefore, Mahopac was the first school district to announce the pause. Mm-hmm. And you'll see that a number of days later, Carmel followed suit. And now yesterday, so did Brewster. Because of the same thing. They're going through the exact same thing, an absolute explosion. They can't keep their schools open because the number of staff members who are on quarantine and isolated. That's the issue. That's the issue in a nutshell. Now, I can't tell you where it's going to be come January. We're hoping that January 11th date, that things will calm down. depending if we are given a zone classification or not, that'll let us know what and how many percentage of our staff and students we have to test. We're not there yet.
Mahopac pause. How is that going to work for Mr. and Mrs. Smith out there?
So effective this Friday,
Yep.
for the bulk of the majority of our population, starting next Monday, December 14th, we'll be fully remote.
Okay.
Similar to what we were back in March through the remainder of the school year. And the principals have, been in constant contact with parents to let them know what that's going to be and look like, and be getting onto the Google Classroom, seeing what's going to be happening. But that will be happening, with the exception of our special ed self-contained students who are most fragile learners and our L learners. They'll be in for 3 additional days next week, the 14th, 15th, and 16th, and then they will start fully remote on the 17th, going through till January 8th, and then everybody will start back on January 11th.
What happens to bus drivers, to maintenance people, to custodians during a crisis
So,
like this?
that's interesting. And one of the things that we have to be very cognizant of is that the same rules don't apply that applied back in March, where, the federal government had said to keep everybody on. So we do have certain workers, our part-time bus drivers and our monitors, who, if we don't have kids, there's nothing for them to be able to do.
Yeah.
So we did kind of a pause with them, meaning a furlough, for those 13 days that we're going to be out. We hope we're going to be able to come back on the 11th.
Right.
But our other groups, like custodians and are going to be working, because our schools are going to be open, and our teachers and our staff will be coming in to teach remotely from school.
The remote model, so then teachers come to school, teach remotely.
From their
Johnny,
classroom. Yeah.
Susie looks on that computer
Correct.
screen.
Now, remember, there also are some cases, and I want to just be very honest about this. There are some teachers, because of their own situation,
Yep.
have to be quarantined, or because they have a child who may be quarantined, they're going to be teaching from home. Okay? Because the fact of the matter is that that's what's happening all around us. So not every teacher may be in. It depends on their own specific situation, but they will be teaching remotely.
You're all over the school district daily. How are the teachers reacting, interacting when it comes to this remote model?
They feel it's a great question. They feel far more comfortable. We have done a lot of work since the beginning of March to what that looks like from a remote, point of view, because you have the two ends of the spectrum, Eric. You have where we all know that kids should not be sitting in front of a computer for 6.5 hours a day. That's not healthy. The other extreme is that it's not good for kids either, just be given work and then they're sitting there without any guidance. So we've really worked very hard with our staffs and a lot of professional learning and opportunities to be able to do that combination of asynchronous and synchronous with kids. So it really blends very well. And we've done a lot of work along those lines. So I have to be very frank and honest with you. Right now, 5 days on a 2-week cycle, you are remote learning.
Yeah.
So, and the teachers have really acclimated themselves. The kids have gotten into a cadence, and it's going very well.
What about athletics, interscholastic sports?
Yeah, so we, as you know, congratulations to our girls soccer team for being the co-champions of Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES, Putnam Northern Westchester School District. What a great honor. Talk about resilient. We lost our key player and 4 of our other starters, and some of our JV girls, moved up, as well as our other, athletes just stepping up, and it was just incredible. And I'm so proud of the team. But now we go into the winter, and the governor has still not made a determination on what's happening with winter sports. Now remember, there's 2 buckets.
Yep.
There's the low-risk winter sports, which are skiing, bowling, indoor track, and gymnastics. And then there's a high-risk winter sports, which is basketball, wrestling, competitive cheer, and hockey. Those, we don't even know, because the governor hasn't even said that those can happen. Now, he did say we could play low-risk sports, but now, with the surge, we're not sure about whether even low-risk can be done. So we're waiting for guidance. I know there's been pressure put on for him to make some determination of what's going to happen. It's the middle of December, Eric. You know, parents want to know, is there going to be a winter season? Coaches want to know. And of course, most importantly, the student athletes want to know if there's going to be a winter season. But because they're indoors and what's happening, it's extremely problematic. And I don't know which way the governor's going to go. I can tell you a number of other states have canceled winter sports. So I cannot tell you what may or may not happen. And that's another, you know, we talk about social, emotional readiness for kids. Think of what they've gone through since March. And one of the other reasons this is not healthy. Stop. It's not healthy for the kids. It's emotionally and physically draining for the teachers. And also my administrative team. Eric, the administrators, principals, assistant principals, these poor ladies and gentlemen had no Thanksgiving break. You know, they're working 24/7 on contact tracing. And that's another upsetment. You know, we were lied to.
Yeah.
We were lied to. Oh, don't worry about it. We're going to hire contact tracers. The state's going to take care of it. It's all nonsense. It's now all falling on the school district. And we just don't have the capacity. And it's just absolutely unsustainable. So, I mean, this pause I think is being done collectively for a variety of different reasons that I just explained to you. I mean, it's the health, well-being, the safety, the quarantining, the isolation. And so we think during this 13-day period that we're not in session, we can stem this and hopefully get back to that hybrid model come January 11th. Again, there's a lot that can change between today, which is December 8th, and January 11th, when we hopefully will restart.
A lot of people out there in greater Mahopac and Putnam County are hurting financially now because of this whole crisis. Thanksgiving, hundreds of meals were given out free of charge.
Yeah.
Restaurants here in Mahopac, soup kitchens, churches. Mahopac Schools, we know, has a school food policy program. How is that going to work during the shutdown?
Yeah, so there are going to be updates as we go through. We're working with our provider, Aramart, and our assistant superintendent, Sandra Clohessy, for business, is working on hopefully being able to provide those meals, you know, for lunches during the break time, so that, and we're also looking, Eric, at doing it in two separate locations. Originally it was the high school. We're looking at maybe the high school and possibly Lakeview, so we cover both ends of town. And you'll see that in my update coming on Friday on what that looks like, to be able to go and get those meals, you know, during the course of the time that we are out, so that we can have our students making sure that they're getting nutrition and they're being able to be fed.
There's some good news, though, for a change. Congratulations, Ms. Haley Pereira.
Yeah, just an incredible honor. I mean, Haley was awarded last week the Con Ed Award recipient, and that is a dedication to Haley, to her athletic capabilities, of course, in soccer, as well as classroom. Her academic standing is just it's just incredible. And you know, Haley is a model student and one we have the greatest pride in, not only for her but for the high school, for her parents. What a great honor, and congratulations to them for raising such a fine young lady. And it talks about what Mahopac High School is all about.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric, over the last number of years, we have had award recipients, merit scholarships, commended scholarships, Latino merit scholarships, and now we have a Con Ed winner. That's the kind of education that's taking place at Mahopac High School. And again, there's the data, you know, a Reward High School last year, U.S. News and World Report. So the work that's being done by the teachers, by the administration, by the students, and the parents is a tribute to what's happening in our district. Because remember, high school is that culmination of the experience in the Mahopac Central School District. So there's a lot of great things that are going on, and we need to spend some time recognizing that, especially during these difficult times.
As Anthony and I talk about, there's that foundation. It starts at the elementary school, then goes to the middle school before the high school students fly. Mahopac Middle School's STEAM Fair has been a great success for years. It's going to take place next year, pardon the French, come hell or high water.
Yeah, and it's going to be done this year virtually. So we're taking that technology piece and virtual and doing it in that mode, and the teachers are doing a great job with the students getting ready to do it. And, you know, and at the end of the day, you know, it goes to show you about our flexibility, our resilience as teachers, as students, to still do the type of things that are so important for the education of our students. But now we take it and we go doing it virtually. Just like the whole world has gone virtual, based on this pandemic and the need to be able to continue working, and in many cases having to work from home.
You also want to thank the Board of Education.
Well-
They're a great group. Again, Board of Education members, friends, don't get paid.
Right.
They do it for the love of the children, the love of this community. You want to thank them.
Yeah, and we thanked them last month, 2 months ago in October for, School Board Recognition Month. But you're right, and no Board of Education has gone through a pandemic, right? And I think we lose sight of that, Eric. None of us have ever been trained in this,
Yeah.
right? We never have.
Right.
We are all trying our hardest, as well as the Board of Education. Because, again, their responsibility is the safety and well-being of the students, of the staff, but also the education of students. So, they take their job very seriously, and sometimes my recommendations to them, they have to make some tough decisions, but they'll always make them on the best of what's best for kids. And that's a really important aspect of what goes on. And now, Eric, it's December. We now have to talk about budget. And that's another big issue, because that's the ultimate question mark. We don't know where we're headed as a state. We know we're in a very, very difficult financial situation. The governor has talked about taking away, 20%
Right.
across the board. We know he's already taken away transportation aid from last year that we're not getting this year. So we're trying to create a budget with a big unknown as to what is going to be cut or not. Now, as you know, as we're speaking right now, there's a discussion about a stimulus package in the federal government. That would be helpful. What impact that has, again, we don't know. So, we're going to be creating a doomsday scenario budget, and we're going to create a budget that, kind of has everything we have this year and rolling it over and see what that looks like. But you're going to have to do 2 tracks, because that's the reality. And remember, we're a people business.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the unknown that's out there, that we're just literally day by day trying to find out what things are going to look like come the next school year and come January, because then, they will start in the state looking at the budget for the next school year.
Stay tuned, friends. That's all you can say at this
That's
point.
all we can. And again, before we close, Eric, and I want to just say to the public, the parents out there, I know these situations are not easy. Believe me, I understand that. In making these decisions, we spend a lot of time talking about what's best for all. And some decisions are not easy to make, but we have to make them based on the information, the data that we have in front of us, and the reality that we're in a pandemic, and we have a surge that's happening right now. And it really has a big impact on Putnam County. We are in technically a red zone. That's alarming. That's very, very alarming, and it's spreading. Now we're seeing families. So if mom is sick, we're seeing the son or daughter sick. Or if dad's positive, the wife's positive, and the kids are positive. So we're seeing more and more of those positive cases that are not just a one-off, but now are family-wide. And that's a new phenomenon that we're seeing.
Hang in there, friends. That's about all you can say at this time. Wear the masks, social distance, keep gatherings small, and we'll fight this together.
Yes, we will. We'll hopefully come out in the end stronger and have learned from it. And as I said, Mahopac has always been resilient and will continue to be resilient.
Superintendent of Schools Anthony DiCarlo, I'm Eric Gross. We thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Spotlight on Mahopac Schools. We'll be back in a couple of weeks before the Christmas holidays kick in. Until then, be safe. Bye-bye now.
For more information, please visit our website, www.mahopac.k12.ny.us. You can also find us on YouTube. Just search for the channel mcsd.news.